Velvet Pastels emulate lip gloss and liquid lipsticks, but they're really a beautiful pastel locked in a gel formula. They go down very soft and smooth, but dry to a waterproof, velvety finish, hence the name Velvet Pastel. Look at that. The opacity of these on paper is absolutely gorgeous, but if you want to paint your body as well, that's okay. Velvet pastels are a very unique art supply. You apply them like you would lip gloss. They dry down to a really beautiful matte, almost velvety surface. Think of them as pastels in a matte gel formula. Yeah, I know, it's weird, but they are very fun and very cool. And because they're fancy and they rule my heart, I've given them all regal names. They hold their own colour and dry waterproof on surfaces, so they're terrific for mark making. And I use them a lot in my backgrounds to add little spots and splashes of colour. However, they're also gorgeous to use when you are creating portraits. Let me show you exactly what I mean. I'm using one of the stencils from my Artemology collection. It's one of my face stencils that fit in the binder. That's what you saw earlier. I'm using some of my squid ink, which is waterproof and smooth marker proof or alcohol marker proof, and using some of one of my blend-in foam applicators just to apply some of the ink. And I'm using a color called Sandy Toes. So it's just a nice, very light, neutral brown that when I go to add other colors onto it, it will sort of just disappear. Now I'm also going to add a little bit of Cave Black into the eyelash area and into the pupils, a little tiny bit in the nostrils, but I want to keep it kind of light. And what I love about applying stamping ink with my stencils, with that applicator, is it gives it almost a fingerprint quality. It's really delicious, just makes my heart sing. Adding a little bit of mermaid eyes. And because I'm working in one of the Jane Davenport mixed media journals, which has a watercolor paper inside it, this ink is dry just about immediately. Now, the process that I'm going to show you really does require clean hands. I like to have a little hand wipe or baby wipe on my table, but you could just wash your hands with the water. I'm selecting 3 of my pink colors: Pink Princess, Noble Red, and Monarch. And I'm using the lightest, which is Pink Empress, just to put down a little light coverage of Velvet Pastel. And it is just like putting lip gloss on your drawings. It's actually really, really fun. The doe foot applicator lets the edges be a little bit rough, which is perfect for this because I want this to look very, very natural. And in one part of it, I didn't get it quite rough enough. So I'm using one of my little baton blenders to actually scruff that edge up, make it a tiny bit smudgier. And then with the excess Velvet Pastel that I have on there, adding a little bit of pink to the tear ducts, to the waterline, and to the nose. All of these areas have a lot of blood vessels in the face and tend to have a little bit of color in them. So I do want this to look quite natural, and that's just one little way of making a face look more real, because it does actually have that hint of blood running through the veins. I've just popped a little bit of Monarch on the lips, and I'm dabbing it out using my finger. So again, I get a little bit of a rough edge to the area that I'm placing the color. And there's a little excess still on my finger. I'm just going to lightly caress, just lightly rub the paper, just to give a little hint of some cheeks. Now I'm going to add some of the colors from my beautiful birthday suit palette Pastels. And this color will fill in between that paper grain so that there will be a little additional flush of color. And of course, I can mix various colors to build up my little flush of life that I'm creating. I'm also adding a little bit of the yellow color that's in it, that nice warm neutral. It's like a banana powder, if you've ever seen that in the makeup stores, that color. And it does complement the pinks and peaches that you get in the cheek colors. I'm going to add some soft skin tone just to flesh out, just to round out this girl as she comes along, just to find out who it is exactly that's fallen out of my pastels and my inks. Working on the cheeks and just on that light flesh tone has allowed the velvet pastel on the lips to dry. I'm going to just apply a small amount of the darkest colors that I'm going to add. This is a color called Monarch. And just gently dab that color in just to the very center of the lips, especially on the upper lip. Because our upper lip goes out and curves back in to where the lips meet, the two lips meet, it actually looks a little bit darker because it can catch a little bit of shadow. And the bottom lip usually looks lighter and catches a little bit more reflection. So to capture the look of light on the lips, I'm going to use my drama stick in Spark White. I'm also going around the edges of the lips. This is to give a gradual blend and to soften the lip line so that the lips, it will look really, really natural. So I've got that little bit of light catching on the bottom lip, a little bit of light on the top center of the lip where it goes down to meet the other lip. And again, just around that edge, softening it with my finger as well. And the drama stick has got a beautiful smudgy nature also, like the velvet pastels, different formula. So it takes longer to dry down, which means it stays open for longer, which means you can keep working on it, smudging it for a little bit longer too. I think it's time for this pretty girl to have a little bit of color added to her eyes. So I'm going to use Ice Palace and Blue Blooded, and I've already got that hint of bluey green in the eyes from the squid ink when I pounced it through the stencil with my blend-in applicator. So just going to pop a little bit of that color down and with my finger, and also use my baton blender, which I like to think of as a clean fingertip. So I like to have it just nearby. So I've always got a clean finger when I'm creating. And I just want to point out as we travel along that I don't always create in the same way. I don't always create the same type of lips, and I don't always work in the same order, work with stencil, etc., etc. Every time it's a little bit different. You're just coming on a little ride along, and you're very welcome to try these methods for yourself. I'm adding a little bit of the Ice Palace to mix with Blue Blooded. So I've got a combination of colors in the eyes. Now I'm going to use the Ultimate pen in Aquadisiac, and it's a really beautiful blue-green ink. It dries waterproof. So, but you do, because I'm working on basically a wet gel pastel, which it's amazing that an ink can go on that, but that's just, it's ultimate. It's an ultimate ink. It's the ultimate pen. So I'm adding a little bit of that color, playing around, putting a bit of the color on the inside edge where the ink was just a bit too stark. So I want that stark edge on the outside of the iris, but I want it to morph into being softer on the inside. And now I'm going to repeat that. I think she needs a little bit of zhuzhing up In the eyelash department, I'm using my LTQ pen, which is just a quicker way of saying licensed to quill, but I ended up having to spell it out anyway. But I do like calling it the LTQ. And when drawing lashes, always try and get a little bend in them. Help make them look more natural. If you draw them too straight, it just doesn't look real. They look like little matchsticks, which we don't want. Curves, curves, curves for eyelashes. And this pen just makes it very easy. Start where the eyelash starts. That's the way I usually draw them, where the root of the eyelash grows from your eyelid, and flick it out. But the shape of the brush on the License to Quill pen makes it really easy. I'm using the very smallest one of the magnetic attraction brushes just to filter that ink out. Now the ink is fast drying from the Ultimate pens and from the LTQ, but if you're quick, you can get in there with a brush, a little bit of water, and spread that ink out before it sets. But you do need to be quick. To add highlights, especially to these inks that are still a little wet, the Drama Stick in Spark is my best friend. She'll jump up on top of just about everything and make her mark. I want to add a little bit of depth to other dark areas of the face, like the nostrils. So I'm using Drama Stick in a colour called Hands to Yourself. And I just adore the Ultimate pen in Golden Age. It's a beautiful, soft, very soft sepia, warm sepia colour ink. A little bit translucent, dries waterproof, and it has gorgeous gold mica and sparkle in it. Plus the pen itself is very gorge. So let me try and catch the paper so you can see it. The reason I love it in a journal is when you're turning the page, you get a little bit of magic twinkling out at you. It's really beautiful. For the lower lash line, I'm going to use the Silver Ultimate pen. This is called Silver Screen. And again, just got to make sure I keep my fingers clean. I keep a little baby wipe or a damp towel there because I do love to use my fingers to blend things. It's one of the reasons I adore those little baton blenders. I think they're just so essential. Like I said, it is like having a clean fingertip out the ready for when I need to blend something just quickly. And it's these little subtle details that I think make the artwork come alive. But more than that, I love doing all the little details and feeling like I'm bringing this little drawing to life. I'm going to use my smooth markers to add a little bit more definition. And the sole reason that I picked my smooth marker to use is it's the same color as that ink. And I've got them all sitting in, all of my tools sitting in my palette hotel in front of me. And I saw it's the right color, so that's what I've decided to use. So when I first started creating these curls, I knew straight away, oh, I don't like them. And then I created this line, I thought, oh no, I double don't like them. Anyway, don't worry, I got my little jawline in like that. Okay, oh, and then I did that line, and then it started to help me feel who this girl was, you know, with her barrel rolls, the 1940s girl. I liked her now. So I'll probably keep working on her as I go along, but I wanted to share creating these little soft, dewy, natural lips. I hope that you're tempted to recreate them yourself. And if you do, I'd love to see what you create with my new Making Faces collection. I've got a Facebook group that you can join. The link is in the description box below, as is my Instagram. You can find the collection at janedavenport.com and Michael's. But all the information is on my blog. Have fun.